So as we move to our first keynote speaker, this is a really exciting treat for us to have this person join us. Coming from Amazon, working on a variety of open source technologies, has a great talk for us today. So without further ado, let's welcome Arun Gupta, an open source technologist, Amazon Web Services principal engineer, to the stage. Arun.
Good morning. Yeah, it's good morning. Hey, guys, come on. I'm awake. I'm from West Coast. You should be wide awake. Good morning. My name is Arun Gupta. I'm a principal open source technologist at Amazon. I work with a lot of service teams across Amazon in helping them define their open source technologies and engage in the open source community. Like with anybody, you can follow me on Twitter. Now, over the years, Amazon has gotten very good at often tackling hard problems, sometimes esoteric, and bringing them to masses. AWS is a great example. We took something as complex, as specialized as data center and converted it into a utility. Now, when it becomes utility, it becomes ubiquitous. And the ubiquity brings innovation. Everybody can focus on innovation as opposed to trying to figure out how I'm going to bring that data center to my services. Now, in the same spirit, AWS has been the vanguard of open source and bringing it to masses. So in this talk, I'm hoping to show that, what is our open source strategy, how we look at the open source communities, and with a particular focus on the search side of it, because this is what the audience is about. Let's take a look at it. What is the motivation for doing open source at Amazon? Amazon has leadership principles. We always think in terms of customer obsession. We expect that our company is going to outlast us all. Our relationship with the customers is going to outlast us anybody. GE is a 140 years old company, and their CIO said that they expect their next 140 years to be built on AWS. I don't expect any of us to be alive that long. That'll be a miracle, though. Customers love open source, and they expect us to help them innovate in open source. So we look at projects at 3 different levels. Now, there are projects that we contribute to, like Linux, Kubernetes. These are projects that are done externally and that are critical for our customers. Oftentimes, there are projects like Apache MXNet or Firecracker, which we create and we contribute to the community, or we are behind that community. And then there are projects like Spinnaker that matters to our customer, where we continue to participate quite actively and provide AWS integrations. So there are different ways by which we engage in these open source projects. Now, healthy communities is super important for the longevity of the OSS projects. And so we engage in those communities in a wide variety of ways, and I'll touch upon that briefly. A lot of the open source contributions from Amazon come from the fact that we don't want to maintain that technical debt or maintain that fork internally where we have the burden to patch it up regularly. So we try to maintain upstream compatibility on a regular basis. And then last but not the least, we're always, the typical benefit of open source is more set of eyes. So something that we launched, like S2N, which is our own TLS implementation, and then we released it to the world so that, again, better quality, better security. So this is some of the motivation why we do open source. Now, we talked briefly about community. Let's take a look at it. How do we engage in the community? When I joined Amazon about 2.5 years ago, my first question was, we have been helping customers build cloud-native applications for several years now. And the developers are crazy about Cloud-Native Computing Foundation. So my first question was, why are we not part of Cloud-Native Computing Foundation? And at Amazon, if you bring out a problem, they say, now it's a problem, now go fix it. And we wrote a document. I joined in April, and in August, we joined Cloud-Native Computing Foundation. So now Amazon is a board member of, or a platinum member and a board member of Cloud-Native Computing Foundation. We are a top-tier sponsor for Apache Foundation. As a matter of fact, literally, James Gosling yesterday talked about his open source journey, who now works at Amazon, and he talked about his journey as a keynote at Apache Foundation. Open Robotics, Linux Foundation. There are different foundations that we are part of it. Now, these foundations is where our customers expect us to be present, and we are now becoming more and more prevalent over there. Some of the conferences that we have never sponsored in the past. We have been a top-tier sponsor for OSCON for 3 years in a row. I keynoted earlier this year, actually a couple of months back, on why we care about open source. All Things Open, that'll be next month in Raleigh, and I'll be keynoting there as well. KubeCon, FOSDEM, PyCon, these are language-specific conferences which are becoming popular. The whole idea is we want to make ourselves much more accessible and available to our customers, and so that they can talk to us. When we joined, like about 2.5 years ago, when we joined, opensource.amazon.com was a HTTP 404. What that means is that page did not exist. Now that page does. That is our open source landing page. So if you want to learn anything around open source, you go to that page and you find out anything and everything that we are doing around open source. So more than welcome to take a look at it and tell us what needs to be done over there. We also have a social media handle, so at AWS Open. If you want to engage with us, if you want to talk to us, you can do that. And then something that I'm super excited about is we have a brand new blog. Well, not so brand new anymore. It's about 2 years old. That blog has about 200 plus blog posts from customers around the world. That is a unique blog at AWS because 20% of the blog posts on that are by customers that are non-Amazonians. And this is all 100% focused on open source technologies. So if you are building something cool with open source on AWS, on Amazon, or have a project that you want to do on Amazon, let us know. Talk to me. Talk to us at AWS Open, and we would love to feature your blog post over there. These are some of the example projects that we contribute to. And you can see there are a wide range. Of course, Linux is there, Kubernetes is there, OpenSSL is there, OpenJDK is there, Redis is there, MXNet, robot operating system, you name the project. What I want to highlight is this is only a sample set of projects. There are a lot more number of projects that we contribute to. And then we have a very simple and a streamlined process that encourages employees to contribute upstream. So I want to make sure that I highlight that aspect. So we really want you to build your open source career at Amazon. So come work for us. And there are lots of jobs that we are hiring for. And most of those jobs are already highlighted at opensource.amazon.com. At AWS, these are some of the services that are using open source components. Now at AWS, when we build services, our customers want us to provide a highly scalable, secure, multi-tenant service. So they love the fact that whatever skills that they use on-prem, on desktop, wherever they want to use, they want to bring the same set of skills to the services as well. None of the customers have been excited about downloading, installing, setting up, patching a MySQL server from ground up. And then when the scale grows big, it becomes quite challenging. And that's not just true of MySQL. That's across the board for any open source project. But the whole idea over here is because of the upstream compatibility, you are using the exact same skill set that you are aware of, bring those tools from your on-prem to cloud and ready to scale. You need MySQL, we got RDS. You need Postgres, we got Aurora. You need Kubernetes, we got Amazon EKS. You need Hadoop, we got EMR. So tell me what service do you need, and we are always listening to customer feedback. Roughly 90 to 95% of our roadmap is driven by customer requirements. Now, it really allows the customer, as I said earlier, to focus on the innovation. What is their core competency? As opposed to doing the undifferentiated lifting of downloading, installing, patching, scaling that open source software. We make it so much accessible that let us innovate on top of that. Now, we also have 2,000 plus projects of our own. You can go to these different GitHub repos. You can learn about those projects, what these projects do. For example, you could go to aws.github.io, search for the projects. Our SDKs are open source. AWS CLI is open source. Our documentation is open source. So there are a lot of ways by which you can collaborate. I'm also the CNCF board representative. And so as part of that, I'm very deeply involved with the containers team. If you think about Amazon EKS, that provides a fully upstream experience. What that means is whatever Kubernetes is available in GitHub is what you're going to get at scale in Amazon EKS. And everything around Kubernetes, whether it's the CNI driver, whether it's the CSI driver, whether it's the IAM role, credentials, all of that is again available in the open source. So there are lots and lots of opportunities by which you can collaborate and contribute. I used to work in the JDK 1.x team way back in '99. I'm also the founding member of the J2EE team, and I'm Java champion. So I have a really long history of Java. Now, over 2 decades, customers were used to getting a major release of Java and then getting security patches for next 2 to 3 years. So that would allow them to use that new release of Java in production and then build a release cycle that every 3 years they can move over to it. Now, last year, Oracle changed the release cycle and the licensing mechanism. That caused a lot of frustration among our customers. They started questioning us. Is Java even a credible stack anymore? Should we move away from Java? Should we go to Node.js or something like that? Now, Amazon is a big Java shop as well. We use thousands of microservices that are running Java. So if you hit AWS console, you're hitting a Java endpoint at the back. So for us, it was clear that we cannot rely upon the binary distributions coming from Oracle. So we started building out OpenJDK from source. And this change of release mechanism by Oracle and our customer obsession combined together made it very clear that we need to do something about it. So last year at DevOps, we launched Amazon Corretto, which is a downstream distribution of OpenJDK. And with this distribution of JDK, it's no cost, long-term support to you. So if you want to run OpenJDK 8, we provide long-term support. That means CVEs, security patches, come to you at no cost every quarter. And we provide long-term support until 2023 for OpenJDK 8 and for OpenJDK 11, at least until 2024. Because this is what our internal customers are. So we realize at our scale, our internal customers and external customers are pretty much have same requirements in that sense. If you're using Oracle JDK, it's a drop-in replacement. We could make that replacement across the board, all of Amazon, with a single change, with one caveat, that one use case of thousands of microservices, there was one service that required a class path change. But otherwise, it's a drop-in replacement. And by the way, all of this, again, is done as part of the update projects that is led by Red Hat, and several other companies are contributing to it. We are one of the contributors over there. So we want to maintain that upstream compatibility. Now, up to now, you had to choose between the speed and density of containers or isolation and hardware-based virtualization of VMs. Now, if you are with Firecracker, again, a new technology that we introduced last year, what we give you is both. So what you can do is it allows you to spin up a micro VM, which you can run on a host. And that micro VM starts up really fast. And because of the density of the micro VM, you can run thousands of those micro VMs on a host. With Firecracker, you can deploy lightweight virtual machines, micro VMs, across a wide variety of hosts. Because of a small footprint, because of the number of devices that are available, the security is built from ground up. It is using KVM-based virtualization. The boot up time is less than 125 milliseconds, and that gives you the ability to spin up a lot of micro VMs rather fast. And on a host, you can actually spin up up to 150 micro VMs per second, per host, by the way. And in terms of scale, because the footprint is, again, the memory footprint is small, you can have thousands of micro VMs on a host. This is the technology that we created internally, and that is the one that is powering AWS Lambda and AWS Fargate. Now, this is our contribution to the world, and we're very excited about it. And we'll keep innovating on top of that. Let's talk about search a little bit. Now, how many of you are Amazon customers? Yeah, pretty much 90% of the room. Thank you. We love our customers. Now, you go to Amazon.com, do a product search. Guess what is powering that? Lucene. That is what powering Amazon.com product search. Not 100%. We are on the way to have that 100% be powered by Lucene, but that's the kind of technology that we are using. That's the kind of scale at which Lucene is used within Amazon. Now, to ensure that open source Elasticsearch continue to thrive and advance, we had to we announced Open Distro Elasticsearch, which is an Apache 2.0 licensed. The important part over there is our goal is to ensure open source innovation continues to thrive by providing a fully featured 100% open source enterprise grade, which is driven by the community. We want to make sure it's 100% open source because that is the true advantage of open source. We want to give you the ability by which you can freely use, change, and distribute the code without any restrictions. We also realize that the open source Elasticsearch lacks a lot of commercial grade capabilities, and we'll talk about some of those capabilities. With Open Distro for Elasticsearch, we made those capabilities all part of the open source package. And just like any open source project, the innovation, all the contributions is what makes that open source project that much great. And that's what we are working over with a lot of our customers and partners to make Elasticsearch great again. So let's talk a little bit about some of the features that we integrated as part of Elasticsearch. Open source Elasticsearch has no security layer. And that's one of the primary reasons you will see that, hey, somebody is using Elasticsearch from open source, and their cluster got exposed. With Open Distro for Elasticsearch, we baked in the security feature in there. You can do your LDAP-based security. You can do OpenID-based security. You can do RBAC-based security. Now, a typical usage of Elasticsearch is where the cluster is running, and a lot of teams are streaming their data to that Elasticsearch cluster. There is no easy and clean way by which you can separate that data based upon roles. With Open Distro for Elasticsearch, that RBAC capability is baked into the product. You no longer have to download a commercial product or a proprietary licensed product in order to do that, because we want to make sure that that is available in the open source for you. Open source Elasticsearch also has no built-in alerting capability. You want to be able to get the alerts. You want to be able to set up monitors, customize triggers, and receive notifications if there are logs that are being processed in your Elasticsearch cluster. And that's the beauty of it. With Open Distro for Elasticsearch, we built in alerting into the project itself. Now, Elasticsearch queries are written in JSON. While JSON is powerful and easy to read, but it's not easy to read for humans. It's meant for machine readability. And there are a lot of customers who are very comfortable with SQL. So with Elasticsearch, Open Distro for Elasticsearch, we built in SQL capability. You can write SQL queries, and that can return result to you back in CSV, tabular format, the ones that you're familiar with. You can even write an explain clause on the SQL query, which will tell you what the corresponding JSON query looks like. So these are the features that you expect to be available in the product out of the box. And last but not the least, we were giving you the capability to be able to run a performance analyzer on top of Elasticsearch. Not just Elasticsearch, but across your operating system. So you know what your JVM pressure looks like. You know what your CPU pressure looks like by shard. You understand what are your application bottlenecks, not just application, but across the cluster. These are some of the most fundamental features that we believe should be existing if you want to use and continue to innovate in open source. We're really off to a good start. The Open Distro for Elasticsearch was announced on March 11th. We've had multiple releases since then. We continue to work with a lot of customers and partners and more users, and there are open forums where we continue to collaborate and continue to build the community over there. Success to Open Distro for Elasticsearch is really driven by community participation. So we are really looking for you on what you're going to build, what kind of plugins you're going to build on top of Open Distro for Elasticsearch. Now remember, all of this is 100% open source, so you have the ability to file an issue, contribute a PR, submit a feature, have a discussion. Forums are all open, and we are all looking for feedbacks. So these are the links for you. Now, to summarize it back, as we talked about at Amazon, we are really looking to make open source accessible and available to everybody. If you want to learn more about what are we doing around open source at Amazon, opensource.amazon.com. talk to us at AWS Open. That is our social media handle. Or you can talk to me, Arun Gupta. I'm going to be here rest of the day as well. So catch me after the keynote or in the hallways. And last but not the least, I would love to see your contributions to our open source blog. Thank you so much.